I cannot express to you how relieved I am that I no longer have to watch hours upon hours of nikocado avocado eating. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Zhariya Smith, and I typically make commentary videos just like this one. Today's candle is Peach Bellini, and I'm honestly just gonna say that I missed you guys. I didn't post last week because I was sick. Still kind of a little bit sick right now, but I feel a lot better than what I did then. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing life in general, and today's video topic was actually something that I had been planning on making actually for like New Year's. Like I wanted to make like my first video back, or the first video of the new year, this video, but I was still researching and I was like, I want to make it perfect because I'm very much a perfectionist. Now, people's relationship with food is very specific and very, can be very healthy or very toxic, and I just want to say that if you are a person who is struggling with disordered eating, this video probably isn't the best to watch, because I don't want to accidentally trigger somebody by showing them clips of people eating large sums of food. I think that myself included watching these stuff, and I don't have any issues with eating. It just made me feel very gross after watching them. So if you are a person that you don't know if you're going to be able to handle watching people eat so much, probably you can skip the rest of the video and I won't be hurt, I promise. So I guess without further ado, let's do a deep dive on the world of mukbangs. So firstly, I just want to say that I feel like that the concept of mukbangs and the concept of watching people eat or food content is not something that is entirely brand new. And even as a person who grew up in the early 2000s, I would watch so much content about food and eating food and making food. And I feel like that this is kind of like the stepping stones almost to like the world that we know now, of everything that we watch and everything that we consume is in some way related to food. I would say like early 2000s television was really just like hitting with that food content. We obviously had Anthony Bourdain, may he rest in peace. We have one of my favorite shows, Man vs. Food. I could watch that man eat food, all day, and I would watch reruns, and that was one of the shows that I was so sad when they canceled it, but they canceled it because he couldn't keep on eating like that because of health problems, which is something we will get into later in the video. There were also shows like Good Eats, Bizarre Foods, and I feel like honestly that without these shows and without, the popularization of even food challenges, for example, like with Man vs. Food, I really don't think that food content or mukbangs or anything like that would be as big as it is now. So that's just my opinion. Speaking of food content now, I kind of want to talk about food content now and kind of how that looks. Around 2016, I want to say, I noticed a huge influx of cooking shows, eating videos on YouTube, like Snapchat shows. Like I feel like every other week Netflix was releasing a new show about eating, like whether it was, like Cake Boss eating or like, weed edible cooking shows. I feel like there was just so much food content, and not just on Netflix but also on like Viceland and so many other networks on TV. Honestly, one of my favorite shows during this time period of this influx of shows would definitely be a tie between like Bon Appetit, which I know the name is stupid, and also Cooked with Cannabis. That's a show on Netflix. Very funny, very iconic, and I loved it. And I hope season 2 comes out because I was obsessed with that show. But we even have shows like Great British Bake Off. We have, Hell's Kitchen. We have so much content based around food, and I feel like people don't really get that, and people don't really understand like how important food is in media. And I think it's really interesting to think about, because as a society, whatever society means, we care so much about, healthiness and eating and food. So it's really interesting to see like day in my life, like eating, or like what I eat in a day, like what I eat in a week. And just that type of content was just like a huge rise, and people were just all of a sudden really obsessed with eating. And like, speaking of YouTube shows and YouTube eating, I feel like that one of my favorite YouTube series right now would definitely be Worth It. And I believe Worth It came out around 2016, 2017 time frame, like what I've been talking about. And Worth It was a show, they still post videos, they posted one the other day, where they eat a specific food at different price points and they decide if it's worth it or not. There are episodes on like chicken or like sauce or like family meals or barbecue or lobster, like just stuff like that. Usually 9 times out of 10 the food was good. And thinking about it now in terms of like mukbangs, like I remember I'd watch that and I'd be like, mukbangs are so weird, I love this, but it's like similar things, you know? And also like big YouTube channel companies, like for instance Delish has like a series on their YouTube channel where this one girl eats like every single food item from like a restaurant, like Cheesecake Factory, which is also in its way a mukbang. It's a person sitting down and eating and talking, which is just really interesting to me. But I think it's interesting seeing like these huge companies kind of capitalize on this rise of food content. And I feel like now on social media, I cannot go on Snapchat or Twitter without seeing some recipe, some video, some picture, some whatever about food. And it's not saying that's like a bad thing, but it's just something that's really interesting because I feel like growing up, I never saw like this much. I feel like before, if you wanted to watch food content, you'd have to go on Food Network and like watch Martha Stewart or whoever does those things, like make a, I don't know, like pie or whatever. But I feel like it wasn't necessarily like a huge widespread thing of like watching people eat and make food, you know? So I feel like with like the rise of social media, and I feel like the rise of social media has also in turn made a rise of food content. And even like some of the biggest YouTubers for food are like Sam the Cooking Guy, like Binging with Babish, like Joshua Weissman, who just released a cookbook. Like I feel like that these channels have such like high notoriety, and I always see them like on my homepage. I see cooking videos on TikTok. Like it's like I can never escape food content, which is a good thing, but also a really bad thing. But now that we've talked about food content outside of mukbangs and kind of like the rise of that, I want to talk about the rise of mukbangs. So firstly, a mukbang or a mukbang is a eating show, and it originated like it's like the word is in Korean actually, and this mukbangs themselves originated in Korea. People would typically like live stream, so you'd kind of be like eating with someone like while they're talking or whatever. But mukbangs in the US are people that pre-record videos and post them. Sometimes they won't edit the videos, but it'll just be like, you know, a video like an hour or 2 hours of them just eating a huge, gigantic meal. It became popular in South Korea in 2010, and by 2015, it had migrated its way to the Western culture as we know it. And in Korea, these mukbang channels kind of had like a community, like they would have a broadcast every night at a specific time, and then they would get paid through like donations and like tips. Unlike with YouTube where you post a video, you get like AdSense and brand deals and whatever. For these people, it was kind of like a little small community where they could just sit and they could eat, and it wasn't huge gigantic portions. It was just normal food, like have like a normal meal with someone. And I feel like that in a world where everyone is so increasingly lonely, that is of course great to have someone to sit and eat with, whether it's unconventional or not. But speaking of the United States, the first mukbang uploaded onto YouTube was in April of 2015 by a channel called Simon and Martina. It was just they were eating Korean food, and I believe that they got the idea, like they saw a person from Korea doing a mukbang like live stream, and then they decided let's post it on YouTube and see what happens. Now they posted this on YouTube, and I want to say maybe a week or 2 weeks later, Trisha Paytas decided to make a video of them doing a mukbang on April 24th of 2015. And this video was just her eating, I want to say like cupcakes, chips, like having like a 7-Up. I watched the video actually in its entirety, and I feel like I've lost many brain cells doing research for this video. I think that Trisha's video definitely kind of made people be like, oh, mukbangs are a thing. And then suddenly we have so many channels, and mukbangs are kind of like one of the most popular, I feel like, other than like gaming on YouTube, like one of those popular like niches. So even though the first mukbang wasn't made by Trisha Paytas, I feel like that there is the person who starts something, but then the person who popularizes it, and Trisha absolutely popularized mukbangs on YouTube. And I feel like that the pandemic we are currently in, we're hitting year number 2. Well, really year 3, but we're going to say year number 2 in terms of like the Americans. But there was this increased amount of people being lonely. And I think that at the end of 2019, Stephanie Soo released a video about why she was scared of nikocado avocado. And this video, while the content of it doesn't really matter in the sense of this video, but I want to say that suddenly every single drama channel was talking about this video that Stephanie Soo made. And I feel like a lot of people who were watching drama channels or watching YouTube in general was like, who is Stephanie Soo? Who was nikocado avocado? And then suddenly we find out that they're mukbang channels, and then we go and see the mukbang channels. And I feel like that this drama or this issue between nikocado and Stephanie Soo and what's her name, Veronica Wang, I feel like that this drama situation kind of in a way put a spotlight on the mukbang community on YouTube, which at this point was gigantic, and everybody was making mukbang videos. They were getting millions upon millions of views per video, and they were cashing in those checks. So I think that it was kind of jarring, at least for me at the time. I had been watching obviously Worth It, and I've been watching like other shows on Netflix, but I never had actually like just sat and watched a video of someone eating. And then 2020 happened. If you were one of the people who actually listened to what the World Health Organization had to say or CDC guidelines, then you probably stayed home for a good chunk of the years so far. And I think that especially when you're quarantining or being alone, like by yourself, especially with social media, there is this increased amount of loneliness. And I think that with the pandemic and people having nothing to do and people just sitting at home, we saw the whipped coffee trend. Like we saw people suddenly caring about making food at home because it became harder to get deliveries, or people were too scared to go out to eat, mostly because restaurants were closed, but also because, you know, you didn't want to go to the drive-thru out of fear that you might catch a deadly disease, virus, whatever you want to call it. And I will say that mukbangs in general have been getting very popular. I want to say around 2018, because like we had creators like Jeffree Star, Tana Mongeau, and James Charles did a mukbang together. Jeffree Star and Trisha Paytas did a mukbang together. Trisha Paytas and Chris Clemens did a mukbang together. The Dolan twins, James Charles and Emma Chamberlain, did a mukbang together. And I feel like that they were just these big creators on YouTube suddenly caring about mukbangs and suddenly making mukbangs. And the combination of Stephanie Soo, nikocado avocado, and the pandemic, I just feel like that mukbangs just had a huge just like boom effect, and suddenly everyone and their mom was talking about making mukbangs. Next, I just want to talk about the appeal of mukbangs and why a person would kind of want to do a mukbang or watch a mukbang. And I think that the biggest thing is definitely like companionship or a sense of loneliness. Like I was mentioning earlier, the pandemic has kind of made a lot of people very much alone. And social media, despite millennials and Gen Z being the most, you know, socially active people, were also the most lonely. And also, like many people, myself included, I cannot eat something if I'm not actively being engaged with something. So like I can't eat without watching a TV show or watching a movie, or even, or if I'm like at a restaurant, I can eat if I'm in front of somebody talking. But if I'm by myself, I have to be engaged with something. Which also, if you know how to fix that, let me know, because it is getting very annoying. Like the other night, this is a random tangent, but the other night I had made myself dinner, great steak dinner, you know, and I spent 20 whole minutes trying to find something to watch so that I could eat, and my food got cold because of how long it took for me to find something to watch to be able to eat said food. So if you know how to fix that, let me know. But I think that a lot of people, like myself included, kind of just need something to be engaged with in order to eat, or they want to not feel so alone. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that mukbangs definitely do provide that for people. So the next reason I wanted to talk about that people may be like appealed to watching mukbangs is kind of like this relationship with food. I know that their diet culture and everything has been a very, very big thing on social media recently. And some people, for instance, have extreme milk allergies, or they have celiac disease, or so they can't eat things that they would want to eat. And being able to sit and watch someone else eat something that you can't, I've been told, helps with your cravings and your impulses. And many people even will watch creators like Amberlynn, and they get inspired and they end up wanting to lose weight, and they end up wanting to eat healthier using this creator as kind of like a catharsis, because they get to watch someone else eat unhealthy while they still get to eat, in order to lose weight, and they go exercise and all these things. And I think that in a way I can kind of understand that thought process, but also I think that if you are making yourself suffer just to lose a couple pounds, and if it's for aesthetic reasons and not for health reasons, I think you can just eat whatever you want, like just do it in moderation. Lastly, another appeal that I kind of don't want to talk about, but I feel like I can't make a video on mukbangs and not mention this. There is a certain type of fetish, if you will, of seeing people eat food. And I have a specific core memory of an 1,000 Ways to Die episode where a person was attracted to seeing women eat at hot dog eating contests. If you know what episode I'm talking about, I'm glad that you're scarred just like me. But many people have a fetish or a liking to watching people eat large amounts of food. And I'm not one to shame someone for what they like to consume, but I think it makes you kind of sit back and think about like all of the videos on YouTube, especially with like the videos of people slurping and the videos of people cracking crabs and doing like ASMR and the sounds people make whenever they eat really, really good food. It's kind of like you kind of look back at it and you're like, it's kind of weird now, kind of looking at it like that, I think that in terms of mukbangs and being appealing, I can understand why a person can sit and watch it. Like I said, I had a revelation that I had been watching food content. I've been watching people eat food for a good chunk of my life, and for some reason watching mukbangs just feels differently to me. But I can absolutely understand the appeal of watching people do spicy noodle challenges or watching people eat large sums of food. Now, while I'm very much the type of person to where I'm like, no one should be able to eat that much food, and we should be able to, help the homeless and help people that are starving across the world. I can understand it's a very American thing. It's weird that it originated in Korea, because I'm like, mukbangs just sound like such an American thing. I've talked about what mukbangs are. We talk about food content and why people like mukbangs, but now I want to talk about when mukbangs went too far. I'm going to highlight 3 different mukbang channels that I think in their own specific ways are bad. Bad in the sense of either what they're doing or what they're talking about in their video content. So first, I want to talk about the infamous Stephanie Soo. Now, Stephanie Soo still makes mukbangs, and she decided to do a 180 of her channel and do mukbangs while reading off true crime. Now, I could make a whole video on my opinions on true crime, but honestly, a person already made a video on it, and I have the same thoughts, and their channel is Pinely. But I think that flippantly talking about victims, getting brutally unalived and talking just laughing and giggling while eating spicy noodles, and in the thumbnail showing a person who's like literally a victim of a horrible crime, of you with like spicy noodles or you with like ramen, like look at this cheesy ramen. Like these thumbnails honestly feel like a commentary on like how desensitized people are to crime, though it's not a commentary. It's literally just what she does. And I think that while this isn't the most horrible thing to do on the internet, and trust me, I will get into that in later examples, I do think that Stephanie Soo, aside from eating huge portions of food, which I think is so unhealthy and promotes such a horrible message, I think that filming yourself eating and laughing and joking while talking about serious true crime stories is not entertaining. That is just insensitive and morally just a little bit messed up. And I feel like I can't talk about a mukbang without talking about nikocado avocado. Now, what nikocado avocado does is he kind of combines domestic violence and mental health crises and issues with eating large proportions of food. And nikocado avocado, it's kind of hard to talk about him because that's why I'm putting him so late in the video, because he is a character. He claims to be an actor, and he says that Nikocado Avocado is just his character that he made up to put on YouTube, which is fine and dandy, and you can be a character all you want. Though I am inclined to question, how far would you go? Like, how far does your method acting go that you would, risk your own health and your own well-being just for money? And I know in a video he literally said he would rather have money than be skinny, so like whatever. But I think that as a human being, I am genuinely concerned for Nikocado Avocado, and he recently has been in a lot of YouTube videos and in a lot of news, and I in no means, I'm not gonna body shame Nikocado Avocado, because I don't think that that is helpful in any way, and I don't think that that is going to do anything for anyone at all. You can make your own judgments about Nikocado Avocado's body, but it will not be on my channel or in my comment section. So if you want to talk negatively about his body or his appearance, I would delete your comment sincerely. A lot of YouTubers have kind of expressed their concerns about Nikocado Avocado, and they mostly base it off of his appearance and his weight. And recently, Nikocado Avocado decided to go to Heart Attack Grill in Las Vegas. Again, feels like a Black Mirror episode. And this restaurant is based upon their food is so fattening and so bad for you that you're going to have a heart attack when you eat there. And they have a rule to where if you weigh more than 350 pounds, you can eat there for free, unlimited. Nikocado Avocado posted a video about himself going to this grill and celebrates his gaining of 350 pounds. And he celebrates that he gained, I couldn't finish the whole video because, again, I don't get triggered or, upset about watching content online. Again, I was an early 2000s kid with internet connection. So like a lot of stuff doesn't shock me anymore, but that video I couldn't watch in its entirety. Because I think that this glorification of disordered eating is just horrific. I don't care about Nikocado Avocado's body weight. I don't care what he does with his body, but I think that promoting that horrible disordered eating isn't okay at all. And I know PewDiePie had a similar take, but I just think that like Nikocado Avocado almost capitalizes on the fact that people feel really bad for him. And I think that on top of the disordered eating content being displayed, it also kind of just like he also likes to post videos of himself having mental breakdowns on camera, simulated ones, like fake ones. He likes to pretend to his husband, Orland. And I think that his channel is, I know that it's acting. I'm an actor. I say I'm an actor, but I have aspirations to be an actor, and I get it being a character. But I think also that if that character is just doing such horrible things, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing, so Nikocado Avocado is a very interesting case, and I more so feel bad for him, not necessarily like he's a horrible person because he's a character. But it's also just like the Nikocado Avocado situation is just a very sensitive topic for me, obviously, if you couldn't tell. So we're just going to move on. Lastly, this is the one that, in my opinion, is one of the worst morally mukbang channels on YouTube currently. And that person is ssoyoung. Now, ssoyoung likes to make mukbang content like everybody else. However, she does it with a weird, sick twist that I don't particularly like. She likes to actively use and torture animals on camera before eating them alive. I'm not joking. That's literally what she does. And I would show you clips, but I honestly feel I'll try to find some clips that don't make me feel like breaking my brain in half, so I don't remember it. But ssoyoung makes content where she is laughing, giggling, and enjoying torturing animals on camera and eating them. And I think that her viewers love seeing her get scared and, oh my god, a live octopus that's bigger than my head, but it's also just like, why do you feel comfortable animals on camera? I know they're sea creatures, and I know people don't see that as like real human beings or real beings with consciousness, but it's like, if a person were to do that to another person on camera, there might be some issues, and you might be like, Zhariya, you just said that you eat steak. Like, why do you care about animals' rights? I care about animals' rights. I do. But I think that this channel is just so sick and twisted, because like, it's one thing to just eat large proportions on camera. That's already wrong within itself. But I think that on top of that, animals and torturing them on camera and laughing and enjoying it. So if I were to tell you to not watch any mukbang channel, it would be that one specifically, because I don't think supporting her would be a good idea at all. And I don't want to talk about her anymore, but in general, I think that mukbangs go too far. I think that I can understand sitting on camera, like the wholesome beginnings. I can understand sitting on camera and eating food for, to have companionship or whatever. And I like that. I get that. However, I think that eating humongous proportions on camera not only glorifies overconsumption, they're not going to eat all of that food, so they're just going to throw it all away. And I get people are like, oh, well, you can't go starving kids in Africa, Popeyes. I get it. But I just think that this promotion of also this kind of like, oh, like, look at me, like I'm bragging that I can spend $1,000 on a Chili's mukbang, for example, is kind of disgusting and very much capitalism and very much, American. But I think that is horrifying, and I think that we shouldn't really be glorifying overconsumption, if we want to kind of help out the planet situation that's going on right now. So I think that this also, obviously, many channels capitalize and like to make fun of other people for being overweight, and there are obviously more mukbang channels that are skinny than are overweight, obviously. I think that in general, the genre has I can understand where it's coming from, and I don't want to discount an entire subgenre on YouTube when I'm not a part of it. But I feel like that simply eating just a meal in front of camera is not an issue. The issue for me is eating huge proportions you don't even finish, throwing food at people. Like nikocado avocado is like a good example of why mukbangs are wrong and bad, for me at least. But let's wrap this up, because I've been talking for like an hour and I'm tired. So lastly, I just want to say, where do we go from here? I think that mukbang content is already so big. I really don't think there's anything we can do to really stop it. And you can't just obviously stop watching videos because a lot of the people who watch that for their own reasons and don't care about petty YouTube drama or don't care about the environment or any of the impacts, because they just want entertainment. I just wouldn't really know how to fix it. Like, I feel like these videos are usually more happy and like looking forward to, here's what we can do to fix this problem, but I don't think there is any way to fix this problem. I think that the only way to fix it is to bring more awareness about what's wrong with this content. And but I also would just say, like, it's not wrong to eat in front of camera. People do it all the time. I think it's wrong when you kind of flaunt this wealth and you flaunt being able to afford to eat all of this food and then throwing half of it away. Some mukbang channels literally chew on camera and then spit it out. It's just very like, I don't like it that much. So I guess that's literally it. I feel like I've been talking forever. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, because it helps little channels like mine. Make sure to also subscribe to me, as that would be very nice, generally. Also, thank you for 5,000 subscribers. I hit it last week, but I didn't post because I was sick. But I'm so happy, guys, and I am so grateful. If you guys want me to do anything special for hitting 5,000 subscribers, leave a comment suggestion down below, and I can see what I can do to celebrate. And yeah, so make sure to stay happy and stay healthy and stay safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.